These are some of the biggest bugs and glitches we've had so far in F1 26. As you know, no matter what game it is we're playing, players always come across in-game glitches which can either make you go from what happened there to completely laughing your head off and wondering who on earth has tested this game. This then leads to some of these bugs being patched in later updates and we'll never see them again, but some always find their way back, and thanks to today's world, past glitches will always be found on the internet. I first need to start with this glitch I came across the other day and was actually recorded from myself. After pitting to replace a damaged front wing, I pulled into my pit box thinking it would be a simple wing change, but I was wrong, because the car ends up going through my front mechanic like I'd overshot my mark in F1 2010, and from here it was the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen. All mechanics thought it was 2016 instead of 2026, by pulling off the mannequin challenge for 81 seconds before finally moving in some way, and when they finally did move, it was achieved in exactly one frame, positioning themselves to where they should be for the pit stop. But you'd think now they would change the wing and tyres, but nope, something even funnier happens. During the glitch I was able to rev the car and turn my wheel from left to right, but after the crew reset themselves after 81 seconds, it seemed now I had 4 front tyres. Aston must be taking inspiration from the Tyrrell P34. It did work in 1976, which was half a century ago, so I don't see the harm in trying it again. Not only did I now have 4 front tyres, but if you look closely, the damaged piece of wing I had fixes itself magically before the car finally drives off after 100 seconds, with the pit crew suddenly coming alive again and walking back into the garage like nothing had happened. So I was sitting in my pit box for approximately a minute and 40 seconds, and by the time I exited the pit lane, I was almost 2 laps down. And what's even crazier is the 4 front tyre glitch we had earlier on was actually the moment where the tyres were changed. So the pit crew managed to change the tyres without changing the tyres. If you ask me, I'd say F1 26 has been very realistic so far, because in this scenario you can see they're trying to give me the full Aston Martin experience. But the best part about this glitch is this particular frame taken from the on-board shot when I'm going through the mechanic. What is this, man? The on-screen display had a frustrating bug before recently being patched. This is because the OSD customization screen did not accurately represent their position when on track. I do tend to do a lot of HUD adjustments for my videos, and I can tell you this little bug was getting on my nerves, and I'm glad it's been patched. For sure the most talked about bug in F1 26 so far would have to be the track limits at the Mad Ring chicane. You could get away with cutting the chicane so much that people were nearly taking it flat. I myself got involved with this because I wasn't going to turn down a freebie to get an easy time trial result, and I can tell you the amount of lap time you could gain and lose from this was absolutely ridiculous. Your lap was pretty much make or break at this section. It is what it is, but we've had a similar scenario like this in F1 2018 when Paul Ricard had a massive track limits problems. This was when drivers could drive around the outside of the circuit and somehow get away with it, and our lap time would actually count. Now it's not exactly the same scenario, but you know what I mean, it's still something to do with a time trial glitch. But it's all fun and games until this gets patched, so make the most of it while you can. Somehow my pit lane glitch has been topped because this post from NeatCricket4433 on the F1 Game Reddit page has shown an image of what seems to be a stranded Cadillac just before the pit box with no sign of the crew even after 130 seconds. Gabriel also claims he was P1 before this, and I kinda feel sorry for him because on your screen you can see 32 laps completed out of 66 of what seems to be around Barcelona. That's just pure pain right there, man. That is half the race distance done and you end your race because of some crazy glitch. Imagine pretty much leading the race up until the halfway point just to go into the pits and never come out. Yeah, Gabriel, if you do end up watching this video somehow, please let us know if you did exit the session or the glitch fixed itself, because I would really love to know. Fight F4 posted this in the F1 Game Discord page, which seems to be a glitch when selecting your fan zone for Season 7. Cadillac and Ollie Behrman have been selected, but when loading back to the menu, the game is asking to do the fan zone selections once again. Fate also claims that when restarting the game, this didn't even help with the bug, so I hope now it has somehow been fixed, otherwise that player is not going to be able to play the game, is he? He's completely stuck. I know this can be very frustrating because I do know when a new season of the fan zone starts, you literally can't play the game unless you've picked your constructor and driver. It's so frustrating sometimes, but I mean, what can you do? You'd think the pit stop glitches would end there, but nope, because we have this post from the F1 Game Reddit page and a user's name that I simply cannot pronounce for obvious reasons, who seems to have came into the pit lane to fit on a set of slicks after I believe driving in the rain before now clearing up. His teammate Bortoletta looks to have just exited his pit box, as everyone seems to have double stacked. After being held in a double stack, Hulkenberg proceeds to drive into his pit box just for the team to leave him and walk back into the garage. Talk about showing who is the number 1 and number 2 driver in the team. Like, what is actually going on? Well, what is happening? And like, they don't have a care in the world until 6 seconds later, the team changed their mind and rushed back out, which can I say has just been done in record time, because could we just talk about how quickly they managed to sort everything out when they came back out the garage and put the tyres on the car. I'm counting just under 3 seconds here, which is probably how long the pit stop itself was, so I'd say it was a great turnaround, but obviously doesn't change the fact that about 20 seconds has already been lost. And if you look closely during the pit stop, you can see the hard tyres have just spawned into the mechanic's hands, and as he goes to put the tyre on, for some reason it ends up being mediums. So it's went from being hard tyres to medium tyres, with the glitch hards in the end just lying there doing absolutely nothing as the car exits his pit box. I think I might need to rename this video the biggest pit stop glitches in F1 26, because Taro16 from the F1 Game Reddit page has given us this incredible scenario where either the player or the AI has driven out the pit lane at Austria just to be teleported into the middle of the track, and the avoidance from that Cadillac there was just absolute cinema. Look how close that he got, and to be honest, and looking closer at this, I do think the Haas car that got teleported is an AI, because it is doing AI type movements, especially when turning onto oncoming cars from the pit lane and the circuit behind you. Low Unusual 5582 from the F1 Game Reddit page is under the safety car here in Austria with only 2 laps to go in the race of 36 laps, sitting P4 in the Alpine, proceeds to overtake Hamilton because Lewis doesn't seem to be closing up to the pack of cars, even though the safety car was just called in a few seconds prior. But as he's done this, nothing seems to happen. No illegal overtake or nothing. Low catches up to the pack of cars and proceeds to overtake a mix of people who are a lap down, and decides to overtake the race leader before restarting the race, and somehow doesn't get anything for this. The lad's just gained an easy 3 places and put himself in contention to win a race with only 2 laps to go. Now, could you imagine if this stuff happened in a league race or something? It would cause absolute chaos. I'm getting quite concerned with the amount of pit stop glitches we're getting in this video now, and I am really considering changing the title, because once again we have a car having a problem while exiting the pit lane. You must think, what could be worse than being teleported into the middle of the track? Well, I'd probably say being teleported into the sky, because this is what happens to the Alpine, recorded by animator Woodley from the F1 Game Reddit page. So from what we've seen so far, the biggest glitches are coming from the pit lane. Even curators like Mac212 has had a very similar experience, like Tabo16's Austria glitch, where the car is teleporting back onto the track. Before we end the video, I do want to show you guys an absolutely hilarious photo that I found in the F1 Game Reddit page. This was recently posted and is also top of the F1 Game Reddit page currently. This comes from comment_side_effects, because clearly the players had the full Aston Martin experience, as the driver looks completely shocked or seen something we can't in the photo. What an absolutely perfectly timed photo this is. If any of you guys have experienced any more bugs and glitches in F1 26, feel free to let me know in the comments, and you can even upload the video to YouTube, tag me in them, and I might even use them for another part in this series. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Subscribe to see more F1 26 content like you've just watched. Take care now, and I'll see you all very soon.